people, welcome and thank you for tuning in for our Bettery Hub channel's Live by Design series, your weekly dose of transformative business ideas and solutions, where we bring you entrepreneurs, business owners and experts from the financial industry on how they grow their businesses, build up their influence, and more importantly, making a difference and impact beyond the financial industry. So stay tuned and engage with us to learn how these leaders and experts got to where they are today and discover their X factor. Now, I'm your host, Shakti, certified and qualified to bring you satisfaction and whole lot of action with our guest speaker for the next 1 hour. Now, today, I'm definitely thrilled. Why? Because our guest speaker is someone that I've learned so much and have really influenced the way I look at the financial planning industry itself. Our guest speaker is Alan Wong, an Associate Financial Planner, accredited with the Financial Planning Association of Singapore, or IFPAS, and an Associate Estate Planning Practitioner. Now, he's a Principal Consultant of W3 Consultancy Pte Ltd, which provides training and consultancy services in the specialized field of business protection planning. So if you are a business owner out there, now definitely today's live chat is for you. Now, he's sought after speaker and a trainer for private banks and financial consultants from insurers as well as IFAs. Now, W3 Consultancy is also the top trust franchisee in Rockwills International Group in 2012 and 2013. A financial consultant himself with 20 years of experience, he focuses his practice on planning for businesses, business owners through estate planning. Now, he's highly effective and he helps a lot of ultra high net worth individuals and business owners. So without any delay, now I'm really excited. Let's have Alan up. Hello, Alan.
Hello, good morning, my friend, and good morning, everyone.
Thank you, Alan, to be here. Amidst your busy schedule. I've been excited since last night.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me a chance.
Oh no, definitely. I think I would like to always, once again, even on live, in front of the viewers, I would like to thank you. You've been an awesome teacher, practitioner, and inspiring role model that we look up to, and we have learned so much from you during our estate planning courses, a lot of discussion. So I got to be the one, thanking you, Alan, for whatever you have, helped us with all the information and so on.
Thank you.
So before we begin, I would like to encourage all our viewers, feel free, because I think this is a live chat, so it's not a one-way communication. Feel free to any point of time, leave your comments and questions, engage Alan, ask questions if you have doubts, and I'm sure Alan will be able to answer your questions. And even if we can't, definitely there will be ways and means that we will get back to you to get the answers to you. So with that, Alan, let's talk about yourself. A brief introduction of yourself.
Okay, just like you, I'm also actually in the financial industry, but the last maybe 15 years, I've been focusing on the business owner market, because the what is lacking is actually in the wealth preservation side. Most advisors actually focus on wealth accumulation and wealth protection. Right? Yep. Whereas very few focus on the area of wealth preservation and estate planning. All right. So that is the area that I want to focus on, because a lot of my clients became very rich, and what they need is wealth preservation strategy. At the same time, wealth transfer. Their focus is how do they transfer whatever they have built to the next generation without spoiling them. The most important is without spoiling our next generation. Yeah, and our next generation do not fight over whatever we build. So that is the things that I've been doing lately.
Yeah, and Alan, it's interesting, right? The way you look at the financial planning business and the way you provide services to your clients, it's really holistic. That's the reason why when we I choose to call you as fellow practitioner, because there's so much that we learn, and there are certain core beliefs, right, that we give holistic solutions for our clients. But what made you want to, also teach and share this information to fellow practitioners?
Okay, for me, I think for one, that I alone will not be enough to serve everyone. All right. So and what I learned is what I learned I want to share with the rest of the industry. so that more people can know about it and then go and serve more people. So what happened is that I alone will not be enough to serve everyone, you know. So that's the reason why I do a lot of education. I go to the public to actually speak to the public on anything relating to estate planning. In fact, I travel regionally, on either with a private banks platform, or I travel regionally to talk on anything relating to estate planning. I'm training the Indonesian people, the Indonesian financial advisors on estate planning, so that they can also serve their own country, their own people in our own country.
Yeah, and that's awesome, right? Being there to continually impact, impact the industry. Tell the guys, look at the bigger picture. And I've seen you, many times that you were in Indonesia,
Yes, yes,
where
yes.
you were doing your trainings on Facebook and so on. So I think definitely it's not just local, but you have been going regional to do this. Uh,
Yes.
uh, and I was inspired. One thing that inspires me is because in businesses they have this thing called kung fu master, right? Never let out your special strokes. But sometimes I've noticed that experts out in the field they have this. They believe in this law called abundance. Law of abundance. You know
Correct.
there's enough for everyone. Just go out there
Yeah.
and practice. And
Truly,
once
truly.
again, I
Yeah.
like to thank you, Ellen, because I think it's because of you that you know in previous years, people have this stigma that hey, financial planners or insurance agents are out there to sell. But I think today things have changed, and I think
Definitely.
it's like-minded experts like yourself who's going there to educate and teach the younger generation of planners. So thank you so much, Ellen. I really appreciate that. And Ellen, now let's talk about estate planning, right? In my own experience, whenever I talk to a lot of people, about estate planning, they just say that, hey, I got insurance, so I'm covered. So we will just go maybe deep dive a bit on estate planning. So why is estate planning important for business owners and individuals?
Okay. Estate planning is not just having insurance protection. It's the holistic whole thing about planning for an individual. If you are talking about a business owner, it's about not just his whatever he built. What about his business? How to transfer to the next generation smoothly. And sometimes for some business owner, it may not be the whole family involved in the business, maybe one or two kids involved in the business. And some of the other kids may not be involved in the business. So how do you transfer your wealth to the next generation fairly so that there will not be fights, especially for business owner? And sometimes, especially for business owner, the what happened is that without proper planning, the problem is sometimes the business have so much problem that the next generation may not even want to inherit it. We know of cases where yes, the business owner has returned a will and transferred the asset, the business to the next generation. But there's also situation where before even they inherit it, they wind up the business. They wind up the business because of the headache that is involved in business. That's why running a business is a very, very stressful job. I understand why all these business owner are. The reason why they age so much is because of the stress they have. It's not so much money they have earned. All right. So what happens is that proper planning has to be done for this group of business owner, where how to address the biggest their business. How to address how to do the wealth transfer, especially for business. For the rest of the thing, liquid asset property is easy, but business is the toughest. That's why you need to engage someone that is able to advise you properly, that how to do this wealth transfer to the next generation. For the individual, most of the time they always think that whatever they built is so little that you do not need to do this kind of thing. But what I'm saying is this: yes, you may have little, you may feel that you have little, but for the next generation maybe a lot. For the next generation maybe a lot. I mean, we Singapore are very blessed. We Singaporeans are very blessed. You talk about to a mid let's talk about individual or working class, middle class in Singapore. Let's say stays in the HDB. HDB will easily worth about 500,000. Father, mother works, another probably some money in the CPF, 500,000 each in CPF, and then a bit of insurance. If you put together husband and wife, minimum at least 1 or 2 million.
Hmm.
So the next generation will easily inherit 1 or 2 million. We're just talking about the middle class at the average, individual staying in HDB will easily inherit at least 1 million or two. Now ask yourself this question again. if your father or mother were to leave behind 1 million for you, will your life be the same again if you're 21 again? You know what I mean? So the risk of giving them so much that they may not be able to handle it and then spoil them will be a thing that all individuals should consider doing proper estate planning.
Mm. And it's a very valid point. Sometimes, a lot of us think that, I don't have much. I only have a house and everything. But if you really look, there needs to be somebody who needs to put out and tell you, hey, actually, it's much more than what you thought.
Yes, sir.
And
Precisely.
and the other key thing is, I also realized when I talk to business owners, is that you have all the money, you have all the assets, but it becomes a case where you start only thinking about, hey, how is it going to be transferred at a later stage. So
Yeah.
going back to this issue, Alan, do you think, is there a specific time that a business owner individual should think, like an age, like, hey, let me be 50, maybe let me be 55, or do you think, at an early age, maybe 30 plus 40, once they are quite settled down, can they start thinking about uh, planning for their estate?
I always tell people that I meet to start now, start today, because you will never know tomorrow. You know what I mean? No one will know when this is tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow will never arrive. Maybe tomorrow will never arrive. All right. And we always think that problem only happen to other people. It will not happen to us.
Yeah.
Right? It's always other people having problem. We don't have problem. But the
Yeah.
truth is, if you had done it earlier, it will be so much easier. So much easier. All right? Because we do not know about tomorrow. Now look at this global pandemic. Look at this global pandemic. If let's say you have not done planning, and today you are diagnosed of having COVID,
Mm.
immediately you will go to the hospital and you will never see anyone again until you recover. Now, if you have not done your planning, you have not done your will, you have not done your trust, you have never done anything. When you're in the hospital, you say, hey, I want to draft my will. No one can serve you anymore. So how do you address? And if let's say you do not survive this illness, then what will happen? You
Mm.
see. So I always tell people, do it now. Do it now. Don't delay. It will be more expensive for you to delay.
So we have busted the myth that you don't need to be above 50 or 55
Nope.
to
Nope.
start doing. Yeah.
Nope. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe that you have seen people who left this world at a very young age, right? 30, 35.
Yes.
Every part of our life, we will probably experience that, but we
Yes.
do not know we do not know who, you know what I mean? So no one in this can choose when they live, that is the risk of not planning.
Yeah. And interestingly, it's not just about living, but also being around, but not being able to do many things. Where so I think estate planning is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alan. Is more in terms of using all the different tools to make sure it's put together to to answer all the different situations of uncertainty. I think this is where it's a process. Another common question that I get, Alan, is that is estate planning a one time? It's like do I just meet you one time and then let's get it done with and that's it, or is going to be a consistent review over a longer period of time?
Okay, it will not be a one time off. It will be revolving. For every few years you have to review it because each individual, their wealth changes, their relationship, their family members changes. Some people behavior also change along the way. So you have to look at different situation to plan accordingly. I mean, I give you an example. I have a customers who are business owner. When he was separating from his wife, he came to see me because he wanted to do planning. Because he's going to separate from his wife. If something happened to him, he may not want to give the business to the wife. Other things maybe a bit to the ex-wife. So he started doing planning with me, and then we strategize how to preserve his wealth, how to transfer to the kids who are still pretty young. Now it's already 5 6 years already, and then every 2 years he comes to see me again, because what happens, things may change. Now, example, let's say this year he found a new girlfriend, and they're going to stay together. You may want to start planning again. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
what happened? And the kids are older already, the
Mm.
business are more established already. Recently we had lunch and he's saying that, that could be the possibility that he may sell off his company. So he asked me which is better, to sell to his staff or sell to an MNC and a bigger company who want to acquire him, which is better? What are the strategy that we should look at in terms of wealth preservation? So it's perpetually, we always have to meet up to talk about it. What should we how we you oh, sorry we need to perpetually continue to review whatever you have built,
Hmm.
right? It's not a one-off thing.
And interestingly, Alan, since we were talking about this situation, I had a client, and when I meet up with them, and then he was very clear. He was telling me, "Hey, Sakti, nothing much. I have a house, I have this amount of cash, and that's it. So what is there to talk about?" But when we went into details, like what you were saying, when we ask questions like the house goes to who, so let them sell. I say, yeah, but you want to sell or you want to keep, when certain questions were prompted, right? Then he was like, hey, there's so many things I never thought about. And I thought, that is where it's interesting, right? I love to
Yeah.
see, individuals, and it became a time where we did that. And like what you said, it changed. The son got married, and so things changed. So I think it's interesting. One thing I learned, that estate planning is not a one size, for everyone. It's not a shoe that fits for everyone, but it's about customizing individual needs and situations. So, any other situations you had, Alan, from your experience, when we talk about maybe individuals, we talked about business owner, maybe individuals, as an individual, why should I do estate planning at this point of time?
Okay.
Any specific examples that you have?
Okay, probably for an individual, where what about if you are going to divorce your spouse? All right, this one definitely you need to start planning. If you are a single parent, if you have kids who are special needs, but all these are unique situation. But what about if, let's say, um, you feel that your spouse may not be able to handle your wealth, then you also have to you have to do certain planning to actually preserve,
Mm.
your whatever you have built. What about your kids? If you feel that, one kid may need a bit more help from you,
Mm.
we have kids, right? But not all are equal or same. I mean, some may need
Yeah.
more help from us. So when in terms of planning, you may want to consider to provide a bit more, or a bit more support for that particular child that need your help to outlive him, right? Whereas some of your kids may be very successful that they don't even need your help. You know what I mean? There could be a possibility. And for some, the kids may not even need your help. Then maybe the society may need your help. The society may need your help. Whatever you have built, maybe you should share. You may share with other people, not just your family members. If you are a lucky lot that you have benefit from this society, you may want to even contribute back to society whatever you have built. You may want to do that kind of planning. You know, yeah, you may want to do a bit of charitable planning. To give a bit to the less fortunate. All right.
So, yeah, before we move on, we have some for viewers. Jackie, hi Jackie. Thank you for joining us, and he says hi to you, Ellen. And we have we have Khalil. Thanks, Khalil, for joining in, and a special thanks to Ellen from Khalil. Thanks, Khalil, and thank you so much for continuously joining us. And it's great to know that initially we changed our timing to 11 a.m. and I was thinking would people come, but I think sometimes when the topics are interesting, people will come no matter what time is it. That's really interesting. Now we'll move on. Let's talk about some common big mistakes that business owners make in estate planning. Let's just focus on business owners.
Okay.
Yeah. So, are there any common big mistake? I mean, there are some things that when I talk to some of the business owners, there were questions. Maybe I'll just throw it out to you. Maybe you can, keep me posted or go into details. Now, one of the risks that I feel is the risk of dying intestate. For the benefit of the viewers, maybe you want to explain, Alan, the difference. What is intestate, and then from
Okay.
there.
All right, when a person pass away intestate, means they pass away without a will. So if you don't have a will, the Singapore government has a will for everyone in Singapore. So basically, the distribution is fair, technically fair, sounds fair. So basically, if you are married with kids, your spouse get 50%, the remaining 50% shared equally among your kids. But the problem is your parents get nothing. So if you want to provide for your parents, then you need to have a will to provide provision for them. Whereas intestate only provides, in that scenario, if you are married with kids, only your kids get 50% and then your spouse get 50%. Now, what happened is that you are a business owner. Then if you pass away without a will, the question is your spouse get 50% and the remaining 50% is shared equally among your kids. Now, initially, you are the only sole person managing the company. Now there's more people coming to share this pie. Can they work together? That's the first question. Second
Mm,
question, are they suitable to continue to run the business? Maybe your spouse is actually a housewife, may not be very familiar. And maybe one of your kids is running the business. And can you imagine if the sister or another siblings join without having experience? They may not be even, they may not know how to run the business, or they may not be even active in the business. Then you
mm,
demoralize the one that is actually helping you. When you're no more around, all this will be problems that you left behind without a will. So
mm,
very importantly for business owner, you need to plan properly. You can't afford, technically, you can't afford to die intestate, especially for a business owner. It's not as
mm,
simple as a lot of people think. What about the liability in business? Transfer to who? You
yeah.
transfer the asset, but what about the liability? You transfer to who? Could the asset be, let's say, assuming that I'm your son, can the asset be transferred to me, but the liability transferred to others? I definitely hope, if I'm the
Yeah.
beneficiary, to hope that the liability transfer others and not share equally also. That kind of things that business owners should look at. Not just transferring your wealth, but the liability. You should reduce the exposure.
So Alan, this is interesting. I'm sure every single business owner listening to this may want to know this. So there is a possibility if you do a planning that you can actually push the liabilities away from you. There is a possibility to plan for that.
Definitely for a lot of business owners, they need to create strategy to ring fence whatever they build. They have to ring fence whatever they build to protect whatever they build. So with proper planning, all this can be achieved. Instead of opening your estate to claims from your creditors or whatsoever, you should ring fence whatever you build. There's a lot of strategy that we can use as an estate planner to help our customer achieve it, to protect it.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the biggest concern, till today, Alan, ever since we sat down in the classroom and then I'm going there talking to the, the business owners. And whenever this comment is out, I can see this special sparkle in the eyes. You say, it can be done. So
Yes.
I think it's great for business owners out there. Yes, it can be done. But the key thing is that you got to sit down and ask, or you got to really sit down and look into the details before knowing what can be done. I think that's the key about it. Now that we talked about interstate, what about negative estate? Without even knowing.
Oh, yeah, okay. So what happened is that for most of the business owner, what happened is that they may invest in assets overseas. When you are rich enough, you will think of investing your whatever you have built. And then you may be thinking of investing in some US stock market. And then you may be thinking of investing in Australia, UK. All this investment. Now, take note, all this country has one thing: estate tax or inheritance tax. So what happened is that, when you're no more around, all this whatever you have built is subjected to tax. The
Mm,
question is, if let's say you are subjected to tax, do your estate has the cash to pay off all this liability? That's first thing. Second thing, what about the loans that you have taken up? The loans that you sign with the banks, you have signed personal guarantee. That means you expose your personal wealth to claims from the banks. Especially during this period, I understand that a lot of business owner, a lot of my clients took up this thing called SME bridging loan. I think what most business owner knows about it. And it's so easy to actually apply for it. So they just sign and just take it. So what happened is, if you have utilized this loan, this bridging loan, you have already signed personal guarantee to it. Now, can you imagine if something happened to you today, the bank will call back the loan. The question is, do your estate have the sufficient cash in place to pay off whatever you borrowed? Now, if you don't have, then your executor or your administrator of your estate has to dispose some of the asset to pay off. So what happens if you do not have sufficient, it will end up be a negative estate instead of a positive estate. So you may think that, today when I'm alive, I feel very rich. But when I leave this world, it could be a situation you left nothing for your family members. Take note of that for business owner. You must take note of that. A lot of people do not plan. That's the reason why. And honestly, you will not know because you really know more in this earth. Only your family members will know whether your estate is positive or negative, sir.
mm. And that's why I think when the process of estate planning, you start getting to know this information, start planning for this at the earlier stage. Now, I'm going to divert a bit since we were talking about business owners, but I just want to divert because I myself thought that it will be useful for the other guy. Now, in this negative estate, can it be also applicable, or can individuals who are not business owners be also affected by this? Is there a possibility?
Possible. Let's say you are senior management of an MNC, American MNC, and you have stock option. You have US stock option. So what happened is that you may open this account with a US merchant bank, and then there will be probably risk of your stock option subjected to estate tax. So can you imagine? Let's say you have $2 million of stock option, and US tax is like at least above 30%, 40%. So can you imagine if it's let's assume just for simple sharing, let's say just $1 million. Now on the low side, let's say 30%, it's $300,000 that your family has to pay the estate tax to the US government, $300,000. Now, this is tabulated on the day you pass away. Now, can you imagine if, let's say, today is COVID and the price has dropped, your stock option has dropped to below 300,000, what will happen? This will be a situation where it's a negative, right? Negative estate. You see, what if the market crash? What if your option is actually ExxonMobil? You work in ExxonMobil and the price have just dropped to $40 or $5. It used to be, I think, I don't know how much is that, but you have crashed because of the market condition. So if you happen to be a senior management that have stock option, then you may want to really seriously talk to an estate planner about this situation.
Okay, all right. And so, it is important both for, it can happen for both business owners as well as individuals. Now, we have a couple of comments and a couple of questions which will move on, quite related to whatever we're talking about. First of all, I would like to thank Anil. Thanks, Anil. It's great that, whatever that Alan is sharing is useful to you. I believe both whether you are a business owner or an individual, I believe that this information will definitely be useful for you. And we have another viewer. Wow, this is really huge question for you, Alan. Sorry that I got to block your face, but I just read out the question from Iskandar. Hello, Alan. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, especially startup founders and small business owners. So I think his question is broken up into two, Alan. Maybe we'll tackle one at a time. The first one is, what is your advice for entrepreneurs to safeguard their hard work in the event of them unable to work or passing? Maybe we will tackle this question first.
Sorry again. What is your advice for this entrepreneur to safeguard their hard work in the event of them unable to work? So basically, what happened is that in every business owner, you need to have an exit strategy. So whether you are startup founders or you have been running a very established firm, most important thing is, what is your exit strategy in the event of this, in the event of that, and in the event of something like, let's say you want to sell it out. That's an exit strategy. Right? Selling your company is also an exit strategy. Now, for a business owner, what if your exit strategy, if let's say you are mentally unsound? Do you have an exit strategy for that? What if you are mentally unsound as a business owner? How do you exit out of the business? That's a big question mark for a lot of people. Everyone always think of, what if I die? What is your exit strategy? But what if you are mentally unsound? What if you are mentally unsound? And as a startup, what happened is that a lot of people invest in you, right? Because of your ability, your knowledge, or your special skill that you have. That's the reason why people invest in you. But the risk is, what if something happened to you? Whatever investment is lost. So what is the exit strategy for your investor? What is the exit strategy for yourself as a founder? So that's part one. What is your exit strategy? All right. Yeah.
And the second part is, estate planning sounds too profound. Is there a simpler term to help broach this subject with entrepreneurs?
So the thing will be, what is your exit strategy as a business owner in the event of what? What's the exit strategy? You see, only wise people have a back door. Unwise people don't even have a back door. Right.
And Iskandar, I hope Alan has answered your questions. If you are still in the chat, just give us a thumbs up. We take it as your question has been answered. But if you do have any more questions, feel free. Thank you so much for the question while we move on. So as we were saying, we talked about two of the three big mistakes that I want to bring up. First one was the dying of intestate. Second one is negative estate. Now the third one, Alan, simple strategies to enhance wealth transfer. I'll call it more of any tips or simple strategies that you can share with us.
Sure. Okay. One simple example will probably be a delayed distribution of, let's say, your real estate. Do you agree with me that because Singapore is so small, our property will always appreciate over time? So one of the strategy that we always use to advise our customer is, instead of outright, the moment you're no more around, straight away give it to your kids. If they are too young, it will be too early for them. So instead of outright given to them, you may want to delay. So maybe when you're passing, your property may worth 2 million, but because you delay another 5-10 years, the property may have doubled. And then what you can do is you may sell it away, and whatever you've left behind, distribute to your beneficiary. You know what I mean? So instead outright you give it to them initially when you're no more around, it's only 2 million. The delay could appreciate the asset that you leave behind, and then you distribute, then you start to distribute, you will be distributing much more. And by holding back, maybe because if it's a real estate, there will be income along the way before you start to distribute. So the income could also be distributed. So it's just like it's just like probably a durian tree. You keep the durian tree, you don't chop the tree first. Let everyone enjoy the fruit. Enjoy the fruit. Once the tree is not able to sustain anymore, all right, chop it, and that's enough, and distribute among everyone, whatever you have built. So that is what I talk about. You can, just a simple strategy, you can enhance, whatever you have built.
And this is definitely useful, because I think one of the key mindset that people have out there is that, once I'm gone, the lump sum of money should go to them. But I think
you want to hear a story of a gentleman? You want to hear a story?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, there was a gentleman. It's Singapore history. Okay, there's this gentleman by the name of Salim Talib. I think most of you, if you go Google, you will hear of this gentleman called Salim Talib. He was actually an Arab business owner. I think in the late 1880s or something like that, that he passed away in Singapore. He was a very rich merchant, trading doing a lot of trading in Singapore. All right, and what happened is that when he passed away, he had a will, and the will says that I will not distribute whatever I built until 100 years later. 100 years later. So probably someone during that time, a lawyer advised him, or some law clerk advised him to. So basically what happened is that in his will, he says, hold back whatever the real estate until the income derived from it, let my descendant enjoy. But this trust can only last 100 years. After that, distribute among everyone. So what happened is, can you imagine if you have a piece of land in Orchard Road in 1880 or 1900, and now it's 2020? How much will this real estate be worth? One of the piece of land is actually Treetop Residence. That piece of land is Treetop Residence. Is worth more than $1 billion. You can go and Google. I think it's worth more than $1 billion. Include a lot of other things. Can you imagine if the descendant, and you're entitled to whatever that your ancestor left behind, So this will be a huge amount of estate that's going to be distributed among the family members, all right, to the Salim Talib family. So for people in the room, if you're single, maybe you try marrying a Talib. You can be a billionaire, and maybe there's a chance to be a billionaire. Or if you are not,
and if that's definitely a good strategy for inheritance, right?
Khalid married already. Khalid married.
Not yet. So he has a chance.
Khalid may have a chance. Yeah. So what happened is, huge amount will be distributed to the descendant. I mean, we do not need to delay 100 years. We do not need to delay 100 years. It's just one case in Singapore history that a gentleman left behind a real estate for 100 years. What if for 10, 20 years? 10 years maybe. Because can you imagine if you walk out of this world today and your kids is just 15, 16, and they're going to inherit at 21? That may be too much money for them. But you delay 10, 20 years when they are a bit more mature, that they're 35 or 40, it may be the right time to give it to them. When they are,
Mm.
by then, they should have already established themselves, know how to handle whatever they have built, and then you transfer to them and you help them from there.
Yeah. And the key tool for such planning or strategy to delay so-called distribution of asset is actually a trust, right,
Yeah.
Alan?
Yes,
Yeah.
it can be two forms. One can be a testamentary trust, which is actually a trust inside a will. So you can just use a simple will just to do that, or you can do a living trust to hold that. Either way,
Mm.
if I'm not wrong, Salim Talib one was actually a testamentary trust, which is actually in the will.
Ah,
Okay,
okay.
okay, yeah. If I'm not
Yeah.
wrong, yeah, but you can Google, you can find it in there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, a lot of us will, to think about, if you think about it, 100 years ago, if he had decided to distribute the asset and the value today, is a simple strategy.
Yeah, you look,
May
he never,
sound,
yeah, there's no change, no. He have not done anything, but he has added a lot of zero to whatever he have built, right? But he has
yeah.
not done anything. He just delay only, delay. Just a simple action, delay.
Yeah, and we have shared a lot of examples, during our sessions when we met up, whether it's classroom or even in our own examples where some of the estate planning, some of the things that people have requested may sound crazy. It's like, why would you do that? But I think over the years, like what we say, if you're going to add a couple of zeros, I'm sure your descendants will be very happy and thankful.
Yeah.
and I think the whole idea is about being aware and informed when you want to make such decisions. What I've noticed along the time, and I'm sure you will agree to this, Alan, is a lot of them don't take actions or don't do such planning, not because they do not want to, but they do not have the adequate information to do this informed decision. Now, awesome strategies. Oh wow, we have another question. In fact, it's from Michael. Michael is actually from Clifford Law. In fact, he's going to be our next guest speaker who's coming on. I fully agree that just leaving millions to a 21-year-old is not wise. Our children will not have the mental maturity to deal with such a massive input of money. I always advise clients to be honest about their children's character. Awesome. Right. And Alan, so Michael will be actually coming in and he will be talking about, he's a lawyer. So he will be coming the next session, to talk about the
When's the
details
next
of
session?
what we
When
will
is
be
the next
having it
session?
next Tuesday. So, Michael, if you are listening, I'm already booking the appointment with you via this live chat next Tuesday, 11 a.m.
Okay. Oh, all right, all right.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks, Michael. Thank you so much. And we move on, and I would like to still encourage our viewers. It's definitely an interesting topic. I never fail to get amazed, especially when Alan shares stories, real life stories. When we were, seated in his class, he was sharing all the actual stories of business owners and so on. So feel free to engage us and ask questions as we move on. Now, Alan, we will just move on, and hopefully, if there's any questions that come, we will actually engage them. Now, with the challenges that business owners and individuals face with the current situation, we talk about COVID-19 and so on. Now, is it all the more important to look into their estate planning right now? I think you did answer this question earlier.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Definitely, it's very important to look at it now because we do not know how will be like tomorrow. Will we have another tomorrow? I also do not know. We have never seen such crisis before. Whether is it yeah. So it's very important to actually start thinking about what should we do if something will happen to us.
All right. And maybe let me just talk on the behalf of any of the viewer. If I'm a viewer and I'm seated, whether I'm a business owner or individual. So the question, so Alan, so how can I start? Of course, the first thing is I should call you. I should call Sakti. I should call the guys. But the key thing is, so in an estate planning process, how does it start? I mean, the first action plan is to make the call, make the appointment. But are there any essential things that I got to prepare myself with?
Okay. I think, yeah, first thing you need to do, I think for a lot of business owners, I always share with them, you do not just need to talk to me. Talk to a few fellas first. Talk to a few estate planner, qualified estate planner, people who are very experienced. Talk to them first. Talk to a few. And then ask yourself, that which one suits you, and then start to engage them. Right.
Mm.
First thing you need to do is what I call estate inventory. You need to know whatever you have. Sometimes it amazes a lot of people that I talk to, after going through their their asset inventory, a lot of people thought they don't have a lot, no. But after going through the inventory, they realize, hey, why suddenly I have so much? They don't even realize, for some business owner, because they are so busy running and growing their business, they have no time to sit down and calculate how much they have built. And when we engage them, this asset inventory, it's not they who compile the thing. Their secretary is actually compiling all this information, and a shock of their life that whatever they have built has really been grown so much, for some of them. So having an asset inventory is very, very important. That is the beginning of everything. Whatever you have built, have a list of it. Then what happens is that then the estate planner will actually engage and analyze whatever you have built and analyze your estate for you. Right? Then of course, then part 3 will be how to strategize your planning. How whatever you build, how to enhance it, how to distribute it, and then who are your people that you will want to benefit from it. And then not just on the strategy side, I will also want to talk about values that you want to leave behind for the next generation, which is very, very important. One example I always want to talk about the values. Look at Singapore. It's a classic country, a country that has a lot of value in us. You look at Singapore, look at the amount. Today, times are bad. But what happened is that the government used our reserve to actually take care of the people, the reserve. And this reserve was left behind by the past generation and not today's generation. It's the past generation leaving behind to support future generation. So the question I always talk to my prospect is, do you want to take care of your future generation? Let them know that you actually, the values that you want to leave behind. No one will remember your name, but you leave something behind, a value and something for them. They will always remember that what have you done for them. So value is very important. And then you have to strategize with love. You have to strategize with love that you're going to leave behind, that your kids know that you have taught them well. If you don't, and especially for business owner, I realize that because they are so busy running their business, they don't have the time to just sit down and really go through this last part. This last part is most crucial part. Whatever you build, you want to let the kids know that you care about them. If not, what's the point of building so much? Because the reason you build so much is you want to leave enough for them so that they can also continue. I always tell my son, the present generation should live much better than the previous generation. So the next generation should always be much better than the previous generation. So this is the values that we want to leave behind for our future generation.
Yeah. Right. And interestingly, and since you talked about estate inventory, I would like to just share this one experience I had. I think about a year ago, I met up with this business owner, and when I spoke to him, he told me, I'm sure he's listening to us right now. I'm not going to mention his name. He told me that, hey, Sakti, I just have a business, I got some money in my bank, and I got a house, and that's it. So there's nothing much in my inventory. So why should we go through the list? So I told him, fine, shall we just sit down, let's go. Since it's going to be so simple, then let's have a coffee and go through. I mean, we will take about, 10-15 minutes. If you say it's so fast, say, yeah, okay, sure. And then we realized he had 17 Rolex watches. and a couple of other valuable watches. And then he had like $400,000 to $500,000 worth of paintings and so on. It started just coming out. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot to say this, I forgot to say that. And then, it's like, and then he was like, wow, I never knew there's so many things. I said, exactly. And I think he was shocked. And in fact, what he told me is, can we take a bit more time? Let me go back and think through today, and tomorrow we'll have another session in case I missed out. That was how interesting that just doing that estate inventory was. So
and painting can be an asset, right? Over time it may grow, so it can be an asset, a precious asset that you can leave behind, a legacy for the next generation.
Yes.
And a museum can set up for your customer. Your customer can set up a museum for future generation.
That's an idea. Maybe I will definitely, have a chat with him after this, to ask him, I got some ideas for your paintings, So, and see, you keep it there as a museum, and then after that, maybe about, I don't know how many years, I don't want to say 100 years, I'm sure his family members will come and strangle him if I say that, but whatever is it, over time, people will benefit from their art and all these things that you have. And another thing that I wanted to share personally was from Michael Low himself is Will. We talk about values, right? there were actually wills, because people always think that estate planning it's just about dollars and cents and assets, and you just hand it over. But I think you got it, right to the point where it's about values, it's about love. And I've seen clients who did wills where they had letters, love letters for their family members, individual letters, part of the will.
Yes.
And yeah, and when this was suggested to them, they were amazed. It's like, really? I say, yeah, you can do that. And you can change your love letter if, let's say, your love changes along the way, but no matter what.
Yeah.
But but that's unique, right? I mean, it's all about planning. It doesn't have to be just transfer of assets, but it's much more family, love, values, and that's the interesting part. And oh yeah, we have Jackie here with a question. Okay, first of all, before Jackie, yes, Michael says that he will be ready. So next week, 11 a.m., he'll be coming in. Thank you, Michael. I love social media and live streams. You can make appointments while sitting here.
And you can't run away after the committee.
It's like, hey, is there, Michael? We have black and white here. All right. We have Ellen, Jackie. Thanks, Jackie. And a question for Ellen. Can I say estate planning is not only for business owner, but also for Singaporeans and PR that minimum own HDB property?
I think it's for everyone, not just Singaporean, and PR. Also foreigners. Like what I shared earlier, Singapore is a very blessed country. Now, can you imagine, let's say example in Indonesia that I'm very familiar with, a lot of planning, because what happened is the law there do not allow them to, they don't have trust structure, they can't assign policy to a trust, that kind of thing. So what happened is that a lot of things that they want to leave behind a legacy cannot be achieved because of the estate planning law there, all right, the law there in that country. So what happened is that Singapore has a lot of advantage because our law are very clear, how you want to distribute, in the will, that kind of thing. So it's very clear and it's very simple. So what happened is that you can do, if certain part of the estate planning can be done in Singapore for this group of people, people from Taiwan, people from China, people from people from Malaysia, people from Indonesia comes to Singapore to do estate planning. So it's not just for Singaporean, it's not just for PR here, it's for anyone that wants to leave a legacy behind for their loved ones.
All right, thanks. And thanks, Ellen. And Jackie, I hope this answers your question. Just give a thumbs up, if you think that Ellen has answered your question, or give us more, or tell us if there's any other questions. Now we have a couple of or two questions, one suggestion and a question by Michael. What is your view, Ellen, about the mega rich not leaving anything for their children? The logic being that they should also build up their own resilience. Well, Bill Gates did something like this. So yes, your view, Ellen.
Okay, I personally feel that it's very wise. Okay, at that level, I feel it's very wise. Now, but what if you don't have much, and then that's totally different strategy. So that's why each individual has their own strategy. Yeah, each individual should have their own strategy, looking at your own back, looking at your own family members. Do they need help now? Now, if you are Bill Gates, leaving behind 1% is really a lot of money. You know what I mean? So what happened is that if you do not want to leave all for his next generation, I think it's pretty wise. If not, if you were to, can you imagine you inherit to be the richest man on earth? Will you be the same? No need billion, just million alone can spoil us already. No need billion. You see, so I think what you want, I think Bill Gates, people like Bill Gates, people like Warren Buffett are very, very wise. They do not want to spoil the next generation. They still want them to have the resilience, to continue to build whatever they continue to do what they are doing, not stop doing anything after inheriting from their parents. So I think it's very, very wise, And I, honestly speaking, I'm seeing a lot of parents today in Singapore that they feel that they do not want to spoil the next generation, and they do not want to see their family fighting in the court. No, they don't want to see their family name appear in the newspaper. So what happened is that they seriously, husband and wife, sat down and really go through what is good for the generation, and even not just the kids, the future generation. I have parents who want to leave behind educational legacy for the future generation. That means what happened is that they will continue to support the future grandkids who needs education. all right, because they have built enough and they think that education is very important. So what they do is they want to continue to provide for their education. I think it's pretty wise. It could be a situation, it may not be 100%, but partial support. I mean, it will not be zero, 100% support. It's partial support. I think it's very wise. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ellen and Michael. I hope that answers your question. I do agree. There are many parents today who believe that they wouldn't want to just leave a large amount and just leave it for their kids. I think it's also quite common within my own clients as well. I'm seeing that quite often nowadays. I mean, being a parent, I won't say my kids are still young. When I come to the level of a million and billionaire, I will strongly follow the same concept. It's a matter of time. Must always believe and dream. Yeah. Yes.
I just share one story also again. Right?
Yes, please.
Story. Okay, when I started early in the business, I got to know a business owner. But then that time, I was not in the area of doing estate planning, solely focusing on just, insurance protection planning. So I was not in the area of estate planning, so I can't provide that kind of advisory services that I'm doing today. So what happened was this gentleman was very, very rich, okay, very rich. And what happened is that when he passed away, what I did was just do a claim for him. That's all, nothing left, okay? And whatever he has left behind was shared equally among the spouse and the kids, all right? So he built an empire, and then each kid inherited a business and some real estate. Now, sad to say, after just one generation, the eldest son is about 45 now, the youngest is about 30 plus. The wealth have already spoiled them, and honestly speaking, not much left behind after just one generation without proper planning. Without proper planning. So it's a very, very sad case where this individual is so wise to build up his business. So wise to build up his business. Can you imagine each child inherit a business? So he's a very, very successful business owner. But what happened is that whatever he left behind, the next generation was unable to manage it. And the best part is all of them are educated overseas. You know what I mean? All of them are educated overseas, have education. Well, the dad built the business without any education. But sad to say, nothing much is left behind now, after just one generation handling it. So it's very, very sad. I've seen with my own eyes. I still know them. I still visit them. But whatever they have built, whatever he has built now is like, it's sad lah. Honestly, it's just sad lah for me to see that, this wise man has whatever he has left behind is so much. Nothing much is left now.
And I think these are the times when you see that inspires you or us to to make sure that this thing doesn't repeat again. And
I hope history does not repeat again. People who I come across, I always tell them, never ever let that happen to you.
Yeah, that's true. And I think when we are in control and we have the knowledge and expertise, I think it's all the more. It gives us a certain level of purpose why we are meeting business owners to tell them, look, this is the reason. Especially when you have personal encounters or experience as such. Yeah, we got a comment from Michael or suggestion that a simple reason behind why certain inequalities in a will example, why a son A, why for son A trust is created, for son B the business is given, and son C a Rolex watch. I guess again it's not like getting a will just for one person and that's it. We just split it evenly, but it's about specific customization of the needs.
Yes, sir. Yep. Get the right people to advise you accordingly, the right lawyers to help you to draft and advise you according will be perfect for estate planning.
Yes. And definitely I have learned a lot, Ellen, during our classroom sessions, even, when we had experiences where we still chat, when we have live experiences, we are out with the clients, sometimes you're always open to answer our calls, to share with us. And I think that has been one of the key things, the community within the estate planning group, there's always sharing a lot of experiences and so on. So I think with that, I think Jackie has now said that I would like my team members to go into estate planning for their clients. So how can they engage you?
Okay. Wow, this is a tough call, man. Okay. I think for me, my area, I'm very clear where will be my focus is. One is education. So whether I'm educating the people in the estate planning industry or people or the public, yeah, my focus is always on education. Whether they engage me, it doesn't matter, but engage the people, they get the right people to work with the public, they get engaged the right people to work with them. I think that's more important. For Jackie, anytime that you need any help from me, feel free to contact me. I'm always ready to assist you.
All right. And just to share on my personal experience, Alan, I think Jackie got it right. The younger guys, I always looked at it. We there's this stigma. I talk about insurance agents going there, and you see, it's sometimes about just selling policies and everything. But when I came, because there's certification, right, for estate planning, but it's not that associate estate planning certification, but the knowledge behind it. And knowledge is power when you use it. And once we got that, then that is where the knowledge was such that whether it's policies, whether it's will, whether it's trust, it all becomes tools for us to actually look at putting it together to build a plan for somebody, an estate plan. I think that's what makes it very interesting, and that's what I believe that keeps us going. Every time when we have a client and they give us challenges doing estate inventory and everything, it always makes it very, very interesting. And from Jackie, so we can expect many of the Jackie's guys to come over soon, including my guys, definitely. On my side, I think it's compulsory. They have to come for AEPP with Ellen. So I think it's a not written rule, but I think they should know. So Ellen, next question is about yourself. So what do you want Ellen Wong to be remembered for?
Okay, I think for us, I think we always start with our own family first, lah. We always start with a family member. We always start with our family members. So for my family, I want to leave behind a legacy where they feel that whatever I built, I'm not spoiling them. So I always make a point that I will not spoil them, but I will educate them. I spend a lot of time talking to my kids about what I'm going to leave behind, not the wealth, but the values that I'm going to leave behind, and for the future generation also. So that is the value and the love that I want to leave behind instead of just whatever the dollar and cents that I'm going to leave behind. That is the value I want to leave behind. For people in industry, is this I want to share whatever I know of, especially in the area of estate planning. That the same thing that they can go around talking to their customers about these values that we're gonna, because we are an Asian society. Very important thing is about values. How we're going to leave behind whatever we build, and with love, So I want to train the next generation of estate planner to go around helping people, going around helping people to leave a legacy with love and values, right? That is what I want to be a member of.
Excellent, Ellen. Excellent. And Ellen, so any word of advice for business owners and individuals? And I think this includes also fellow professionals in the financial services industry, who are looking into upgrading their skills and knowledge, so on. Any word of advice for them?
All right. I think for people in our industry, what they should do is upgrade yourself. The world have changed. You need to upgrade yourself. Estate planning is a very, very niche market, honestly speaking. That's very few financial advisors are focused in this area. So take this opportunity to upgrade yourself, especially during this period of time where a lot of time, you may have a lot of spare time. You may have a lot of spare time that you take this opportunity to upgrade yourself. Okay, take this opportunity to upgrade yourself. So that is for people in the financial industry. Now, for the general public, whether it is a business owner or individual, don't delay in doing planning. All right, don't delay in doing planning. Start to engage estate planner to talk about it. There's always, tomorrow may not come. Tomorrow may not come. We always think there's another tomorrow, but tomorrow may not come. And tomorrow will never come. Okay, right.
Right. Thanks, Ellen. So for those of you, especially the financial planners or the financial industry who are looking into learning and you need more information, I've actually, in the comment section, I've actually left the link for Ellen's Facebook page. So feel free to click on it, and please do visit and PM Ellen directly. If you have any queries in terms of how do you upgrade your knowledge, your skills, and so on. The link is already there. And Alan, thank you so much. It has been an awesome 1 hour. I always enjoy having the short sessions with you, talking to you, and I would like to say that, thank you. And it's the topic and the way you said that, we have got so many people engaged. We even have a Michael, who should be busy with his clients. He decided to come in, and so many other guys. So thank you, Alan. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing so much things from your heart.
It's an honor to have the opportunity to come on this platform. Thank you. Hope we all of us leave behind this place a better place.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, Alan. We will catch up soon. All right. Well, it was an awesome session. Thank you for every single one of you. Michael, Jackie, Khalil, Iskandar, Anil, all you guys. Thank you so much for joining in the chat, engaging Alan. I think it was really good because when you ask questions, we learn. All right. That's the whole idea, right? Nothing is being shared or nothing is being triggered until questions are being asked. So thank you once again for asking questions to give your expertise. I think we really appreciate that. And yes, a comment from Michael. Yes, good to know, Mr. Wong. And I'm sure Alan is also listening to Michael, and he knows that you said this. And so as we move on, there are a few things I just want to say before we move on. Certain, I will say, learning key learning points that we learned from Alan today. Now, one of the key things is that it's never too early. So for those business owners and even individuals, we will strongly suggest that take this time to sit down and, as I said, it doesn't have to be somebody. It could be your existing planner who's trained in estate planning, or you can always feel free to even contact Alan or contact myself for those of you who know me, or, your relevant planners who are trained in estate planning. Ask questions, have a sit down, get to know more information, and then decide whether is this something that you want to embark, which I think you should, but what are the key next step that you should take. I think that is the key thing. And of course, another thing, it is not just about leaving something behind for your family, but it's also about creating value, to leave love for your family, to plan strategically for them. So I think it's not just about a one-stop solution where, I have it and that's it. So there was a lot of knowledge given. And of course, 1 hour or 1.5 hours in a live chat may never be enough for Alan to share, though there are many things. So feel free to contact us. And with that, thank you so much, every one of you. Now, as I said, this Thursday, we'll be having another speaker, Jackie, who was also engaged. She'll be coming in to share more in terms of about businesses, about entrepreneurship. And next Tuesday, we will have Michael will be coming in. I'll be discussing more in details. We will be sharing certain key areas. So just feel free to keep in touch, and we will definitely feel that we will try to bring as many things as possible, information that you require. So even after this chat, any point of time, feel free to give us messages, to request for any specific areas that you want me to focus on, so I can bring the relevant experts, because this live chat is by us just for you. I think it's about the audience. So thank you for being an excellent audience. And no live chat is complete without you, the viewers. So thank you for spending your morning with me. Leave your comments and feedback as I requested, so that we can do it better just for you. Now it's time to say goodbye. So remember, there's none before me and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Yours truly, Sakti. See you on Thursday and keep moving forward.